What's going on, everybody? Doc here, Average Gamer Guys, back again. Escape from Tarkov action, and the wipe is here. We are in. We've had a chance to play a few games. I'm going to do two things here for you today. I'm going to talk through some of the changes that I've noticed and a few things that I'm going to see. First one, I'm going to show off this deagle we found already, which is pretty cool. So that thing is pretty neat. I'm going to talk about some of the changes that I've noticed and some of the reactions I've been seeing. But first, let's jump over. Let's talk through the patch notes. And while we do that, I'm going to give you a little preview, a little walkthrough of the new factory. I will tell you this up front. It's pretty cool. Let's get into it. All right, so while this whole thing is going on, I will probably start popping up just a walkthrough. I took some time. I ran through the new factory. It is absolutely awesome. Here's the thing. If you are a veteran of the game, it's going to feel very familiar, but there is a ton of new stuff to explore. It's interesting because portions of the map, as you will see, feel like they've closed it up a little bit, made it a little bit tighter. Like the office area, I actually think is going to be a little bit more interesting, probably more fun now to play in. The flip side of that is lots of other areas they have expanded, and it's really neat. So enjoy that footage as we talk through here. But patch 0.15, for those that have not been able to jump in, is a full wipe. There's a whole factory rework. There's a whole bunch of stuff. There's a whole bunch of new loot. You'll see some of the stuff as we do the walkthrough here. We've got the new boss, Partisan. Not going to really talk about that very much, but he prefers a stealthy approach, takes advantage of terrain, and he will set traps in advance, and then only after that will engage in open combat. So he's like a stalker boss, essentially. There seems to be a sound notification for any things that drop your hidden PMC karma. For instance, sitting in a bush for too long, I have heard, is one of the things to trigger that. So keep that in mind. More to be discovered from that. Again, new hidden parameter is called karma. It changes depending on the player's actions. It can be increased by adhering to a more open playstyle, and it's decreased for a dishonest playstyle. Things will trigger, they're going to change them, values are going to be adjusted, and again, in some cases, karma changes can be tracked by a distinctive sound notification. There is a new thing here. Map-to-map travel is in the game. It's a new event, new game event called Marathon. During the Marathon event, location transits will only be available in the corresponding game mode. Marathon is available only in PvP mode. Players will receive a unique achievement for completing the Marathon event. After the event is over, all location transits will become available in all raids. I will show this here really quickly when I get a second, but essentially what you can do is you can click over and it takes you to kind of a subset of, I'm going to call it like, not servers, but like a different map. Hard to describe, but you can trigger, which is really cool. You can travel from one location to another. Location transits are available after 7 minutes from the start of a raid. You have to enter the transit zone and select the appropriate option in the context menu. Very similar to what do you call it? The BMP or whatever it is that moves around the map. You are able to deposit some items in for your stash. So you can, during the transit, player will be able to transfer some of the items found in raid, which will move to a stash for a certain price. After transferring the items, the transfer timer will begin. When you activate the transit and transfer items, the ability to exit the current location will become unavailable, and the player will be forced to use the transit. So you're basically locked in once you get going with that. If you do it in a group only, you can only do it in a group only if all living members of the group are in the transit zone. So you can't split up, you can't break the party apart. Everybody has to be together. If several players who are not in the same group use the transit at the same time, they will be transferred to the next location together. So players can join a group and also transit to the next location together. So that's kind of a neat little team building item there, is that if you find some teammates to link up with, you can go and do that. The available transit directions are marked with a dotted line on the location selection screen. And again, there's an achievement. Tripwires have been added. It's a single-use consumable item called the Tripwire Installation Kit. It cannot be found in raid or bought on the flea market. It's only available for purchase after completing Jaeger's task chain. So hopefully, one of the big fears I had, that it seems like this generally will be alleviated, is not a lot of people will be running these unless you kill somebody that has it, or if you go and actually complete the quest. We don't know what the quest line is going to be, but I'm imagining it's going to be pretty late game, so that would be good. Unfortunately, that means access to some of the stuff isn't going to be for everybody, but that is kind of how the game is, so we'll just have to deal with it, I suppose. When the item is in the inventory, player will get access to the tripwire mode by pressing the B key on the appropriate grenades. The grenade must be in hands to switch to tripwire mode. It has a minimum and maximum installation length. It can be placed on any flat or slightly inclined surface. They can be triggered any number of ways. You can shoot the wire. You can hit it with an explosive shrapnel or another grenade. You can hit the wire with any physical object, including players, bots, or items, interestingly enough. During activation, the tripwire does not explode instantly, but with the fuse delay specified in the grenade's description. Tripwires can be disarmed. To do so, approach the booby-trapped grenade and disarm it through the context menu. Disarming takes a certain amount of time. Having a multi-tool in your inventory significantly reduces the disarming time. That's really cool. I'm going to start carrying a multi-tool with me. After disarming, you can pick up the grenade used in the tripwire. They will disarm on their own after a certain amount of time. I am very curious to hear or see with some testing what that means, because I would love to know how long the things are going to be in the raid. Is it 5 minutes? Is it 10 minutes? Is it 40 minutes? Hopefully it's not quite that long, but that's pretty cool. As they had showed off, bipods and weapon mounting are here to stay and have been added to the game. You can mount a weapon. You have to have a suitable horizontal or vertical surface, and you can mount using the mount key, which is V. Very similar to Call of Duty and some of the other games that have done it. That's what it looks like. And you get significantly reduced recoil stamina consumption when firing. You can mount using a bipod. The bipod has to essentially be in firing position, and that will reduce recoil stamina consumption and weapon slay when firing a bipod mounted weapon. Mounting the weapon while prone is only available if the bipods are installed and deployed on the weapon. And there's an icon in the corner of the screen shows whether the weapon is mounted or signals that the given surface is not suitable for mounting. So finally, we get some notifications in game for some actions that we're taking, which is really interesting. There's a new hideout zone called the Gear Rack. They showed this off, so I won't talk about it, but it's essentially 3 mannequins that you can equip, and then you can fast exchange those items, so that's pretty cool. Also, it will probably act as a place to store some items very similar to the weapon rack that we had, so that'll be nice early on if it opens up relatively early for us to be able to throw some extra gear and expand the stash a little bit, I would imagine. Pouch items and special item slots do not apply for equipping and exchanging, so keep that in mind. And there's also the new hideout zone called the Cultist Circle. They've showed this off. You can sacrifice up to 5 items to the Cultist Circle. The value of each sacrifice item is added up, and then the total determines the value of items received as a gift from the cultists. The cultists cannot deliver items while you are in the hideout, which is interesting. The value of a single sacrifice is above a given threshold. There's a 25% chance to receive items needed for active tasks and unfinished hideout zones. So that's actually really interesting. That'll be pretty cool. The value of the sacrificed items is also increased by bonuses from the Sacred Amulet and the Hideout Management skill, and anyone that has the Unheard Edition has the Cultist Circle built instantly. So that's pretty cool. Here's a big one. AI enemy reaction system. They added a variation to AI behavior when spotting another AI or player in PvE mode. Behavioral model is chosen depending on the lore relationship between the factions. So there's a whole bunch of stuff here. Possible reactions can include instant aggression attack, friendly unless shown aggression, complete friendliness, warning and attacking if not obeyed, and neutral unless shown aggression. What's interesting is that this is just a play on trying to fix some of the terrible PvE AI, and this could be really interesting if implemented. Unfortunately, we've seen the negative impacts of that, so that's kind of cool. It does talk about the chance of meeting a more aggressive AI PMC varies depending on the location. For example, on Ground Zero, for those under level 20, bots are going to be more friendly, but in the lab, they're going to be much more aggressive, which is cool. And then faction interactions will be implemented and balanced further in both PvE and PvP modes. So that's cool. Whole bunch of new weapons, loot, and different things. You got the Uzi, SR3M compact assault rifle. I showed off the Deagle already and a whole bunch of ammos for that. You got the M60, talked about in our kind of our highlight video. We have updated weapon models for a handful of things. New caliber, the 50 Action Express, that's for the Deagle, and some new ammos. Other weapon improvements, additional attachments, adjusted functionality for pistol grips on the Markov PM pistol, improved the AUG A1 and A3 visuals, added some additional animations, and updated the grenade animations. Added new types of equipment, armor, helmets, and loot. I have seen some new backpacks. There's a handful of new ears and some other stuff. Quality of life improvements. You can now basically smoothly adjust the zoom of optics. I have not had a chance to test this yet. This I feel like is going to be really, really big, and it basically affects every zoomable optic, which is really, really cool. There is some hotkeys that have already been set, which, by the way, all of your hotkeys and all of your key changes have been reset. So get back to go ahead and doing some stuff. You can now do a grenade selection, so very similar to the health selection. By holding it down, you can hold G now, and you can select between the different types of grenades you have. This will only work for specific grenades that you obviously have access to, and all you are doing is simply clicking or selecting the grenade that you want to throw next, which is a huge quality of life improvement. Now, if you have multiple types of grenades between flashes or maybe an impact and some regular F1s, you're going to be able to scroll through those and pick the best one for the situation with a quick click and select, which is pretty cool. There's some stuff for flashlights and tactical device operation modes. You can flip-flop those by pressing or holding a hotkey. You can enter some game setting values if you want for adjusting things like mouse sensitivity. And again, hotkey adjustments have been made, so keep in mind you'll have to reset yours, or they've already been reset, so you got to reset them for what you prefer with some of the new changes. Balancing changes. Simplified the objective for task setup and long road. Thank God for that. I hope they're much, much better. All Class 6 body armor, plate carriers, plates, and helmets have been removed from traders. They're now FIR only, which is interesting. They've changed the availability of ammo on the flea market. All ammo with less than 42 pen is now allowed on the flea market with a few exceptions. They've increased the damage of 7.62 by 39, 5 by 45 by 39, and 9 by 21 calibers, and they've reduced the damage of some 5.56 by 45 caliber ammo. That seems really interesting. I would not have thought 7.62 by 39 would have needed a damage buff, but here we are. Technical changes. They fixed the equipment clipping. We'll see about that. Animations, they've reworked some things to make them a little bit more smoother. And they've added special door interaction animations. The number of interactive object animations will increase in further and future updates. Interesting. Graphics have been rehauled. We are now into the summer season, which, if you have not had a chance to jump in, basically is just what you're used to from old Tarkov, from the base version, from what I could notice. Does look really good, but I will say that. Here's the big one. I might even come back for this. Here's the big one. Sound. Improve the environment sound system. They've also basically redone every single one of the headsets. Here's what I've noticed so far. Certain aspects of it are cool. Some of the things running around seems okay. Player movement is definitely less noticeable now, which I think in the overall scheme of things could be good, could make for the game to feel a little bit more maneuverable. That's been a thing that's talked about to death, is how, because sound is such an important part of the game and how beneficial it can be, especially as you level up or get used to it and get experience with it, you can really pinpoint things. It seems like a lot of that has been reduced, which I think is good, but that's also just me having to get used to all the headsets are totally different. So it's going to take a whole bunch of new testing to figure out which one you like the most. There is one thing that is just absolutely killing this right now. The player movement. It's always been kind of loud. It is excessive at this point, even with the headset on. And it sounds like at pretty consistent intervals as you're running or as you're moving, somebody is proning and unproning. That's what it sounds like. There are more sounds to it, which are okay, and some of that stuff is fine. What I don't understand is it seems like they've used your player sound as a way to mask the rest of the sound. Now there's a whole bunch of ambiance type things which are really cool. We've seen that in the past update when they've done some of the stuff with being out in the woods and over on customs and some of the other locations. That's great. That stuff is really cool. I like that immersive type things, and they've introduced even more of those. That part's really neat. However, hearing your player and thinking people are proning and unproning next to you as you're running through the raid is like killing this right now. I don't think it's getting a fair scrub, and we're not even 24 hours into the patch, so these things are all just immediate reactions. But I will tell you, it was extremely noticeable. Extremely noticeable, very loud. Again, I think the base of it was trying to reduce other player movement sound. Right now, granted, if you're running or doing some of those or moving quickly, that should be a little bit more audible, obviously. However, I think that could be a good thing, but right now it is just, it's chalked. It's chalked from my very limited amount of raids as well as what I'm seeing on the socials. So hopefully it continues to get fixed. Here's the active headset adjustment. They've improved the separation of weapon sounds and other sounds. I will tell you, some of that did sound really good. Pinpointing grenades and shots was a little bit easier in my limited experience here today. Added the splitting of sound subgroups. Dude, they did a whole bunch of stuff with sound. So it's going to be interesting. Headsets, they basically retested them all. It is what it is. You'll have to test them out for you. Anti-cheat update. Implemented protection against a series of exploits related to monitoring loot on players' location using certain softwares, and another protection against a series of exploits related to network synchronization and unfair movement. We'll see if the flying around and we'll see if the looting of things is officially gone, but we'll go from there. There's a giant list of changes for a whole bunch of stuff, and that wraps it up here for the patch notes. As I jump back in here, I just really quickly want to show what this looks like to go to the marathon mode, which is really, really interesting. So you can come in here, you come up to the top right of your screen, you're seeing here, right above my head. It says marathon mode, in which you will need to travel from one location to another to progress. You can click that, and it's essentially a mode. This is really cool. This is really neat. I imagine that this is going to be a big step forward to actually finally escaping Tarkov. This feels like probably their first test or play run of this, of having you actually have to move through this, get to this point, and then finish up with terminal for your last mission. So I have not had a chance to jump in and play this yet, but that is pretty cool. You can swap back here. I should also note that there is a whole bunch of tasks related to doing this and in the marathon mode. So you have a couple of different things where you're going to move from place to place, find the different locations to go do that, stash some things. So it seems very similar. This is an interesting one I would love to test, but locate the passage to the lab from streets, use the transit system, then you have to scout server room, hazard dome, and control room, and the passage leading to streets of Tarkov in the lab. So that's pretty freaking cool. This could be really, really interesting. This is an amazing, look at this experience, a meds case, an injector case. If you're able to do this here really quickly, that could be pretty wild. There's quite a few of these actually, woods to reserve. So some of that stuff is pretty cool. I'm excited about that. Tasks, I haven't noticed any major task adjustments, but obviously there's been a ton of things added with the marathon mode and all that good stuff. Trying to see if I have anything else of note here. There's a new baklava. It's like the Rigi baklava. It looks pretty funny, actually. It's pretty crazy. You get a whole bunch of stuff here to get going. You're going to get a lab's key card. We've gotten some PMC kills already. We've had some fun. Just trying to think if I've seen... Oh, I did see one additional thing. There's this new backpack, but look at this freaking thing. I want to say this has got to be a... this has got to be a streamer item. It's a knife replica. It does not go in the knife slot, unfortunately, but you can put it in here. So this thing is really cool. Found this today. Super, super neat. So new backpacks, some new stuff. I will tell you, I have been finding a massive amount of 338 Lapua on woods. I found all of this 5.56A1 already, and this package of PP ammo. So that's pretty crazy. I got a gas analyzer already. So we haven't done a ton of raids, just a few, but been running around a little bit. Here's one of the new Comtacs. These things look absolutely awesome. They're super cool. Coyote Brown. Haven't had a chance to test these yet. I have worn Comtac 2s, the GSSHs. I don't think I've tested the Razors yet. So it's been interesting. It's been really interesting. We jumped in. We got a little bit of what do you call it done? We got a little bit of ground zero done, some tasks, got the new Deagle. Actually, let me go ahead. Can I think I have the shooting range done here. Let's just quickly jump into this because this will be fun. And hopefully you enjoyed the factory walkthrough. I was just walking through that because really cool location. I'm actually very interested to kind of test it out, play around with it, see what happens. I guess we could like maybe my generator's not on, so that's all you get. I forgot about that. I was like, I could turn some lights on for you, but I can't. Holy recoil. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's gonna be fun. Ooh, hipfire is gonna be gnarly with that. You see that? That was pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. That's interesting. I'm curious to see how much that does. Ooh, we got a little heating. I'm gonna get this constructed. Why not? Let's get some hideout progress going here. So let's also look to see. I'm just curious. Ooh, cultist circle is gonna be up here. So you get like an extension, basically from security up into here for the cultist circle. So that is that's pretty cool. And then I'm assuming the armor zone or whatever is going to be somewhere in this area. Weapon rack, workbench. Oh, it doesn't even show up yet. We've got to probably break the wall down and do all that stuff before we'll see those things. So hopefully you enjoyed this one. Quick down and dirty. Get in, get some raids. I will tell you that player timers haven't been so bad. Servers have run into some troubles as we would expect them to do. Scav timers have been longer. So just be prepared for that. Just know that going up front. They haven't been terrible, but they've been longer. So, and expect a lot of issues over the next couple of days. If you go into it expecting that, then you won't be disappointed. Maybe jump into PvE or whatever and get some things going there. But other than that, enjoy the wipe, and we'll bring you more content, any new stuff that we find, and some more stuff. Probably potentially some guides for some quests, maybe, if we can get some things rolling. But I'm going to be jumping into my 2 series. If you're interested, we run a hardcore series, and we run a solo standard account series as well. So we'll be jumping into those here very quickly. And I got a little challenge to get our solo standard account up and running as well that I'm looking forward to. So flash some socials, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this one, hit that sub button. Check out another video. Really does help us out. More Escape from Tarkov content coming at you. So be sure to stay tuned. We really do appreciate all the support. And hopefully we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.